Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS-Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. We're going to learn more about diabetes and living with diabetes in this edition of WJTS-Inform. Joining me in the studio is the Purdue Extension intern through Purdue University, and that is Holly Beier. Holly is making her way to becoming a dietitian, so she is studying dietetics. And Holly, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
One of the things that you are involved in is diabetes, and one of the programs you've been working with the Purdue Extension here in Dubois County and Jan Dugan is a program called Dining with Diabetes. Before we get to that, what is diabetes?
Diabetes is when your blood sugar levels can be elevated. There are different types of diabetes, which is important to point out. There can be type 1 diabetes, which is when people are usually younger. They're usually kids when they're diagnosed with that. And that's when your pancreas doesn't produce the insulin it needs. The type 2 diabetes is when a lot of times it's developed in adulthood, and it is when usually you're overweight, and it's things that can be reduced, your blood sugars. You can work on it through diet, exercise, and medical management. And then there is prediabetes as well. Prediabetes is a term that a lot of people hear but not so sure about, and it's where you haven't medically been diagnosed with diabetes, but you're right there on the edge, and it's a time where you can be proactive so that it doesn't lead to type 2 diabetes.
Am I correct in assuming that everybody could get diabetes? I can say everybody's at risk of that?
Mm-hmm. Everybody can be at risk. That's why it's very important to continue physical activity from a young age all the way up until your elder years, and also receive routine medical care, watch your lab values, and watch your nutrition, which is very important as well, because food can greatly have an impact on your medical state.
And I'm assuming in Indiana, I think a third of the population is considered overweight, so at least a third are considered close to diabetic, I guess, or maybe because of the obesity. So what can you do? Can you change that? If I found out that I was type 2 diabetes, am I always going to be type 2 diabetic?
Not necessarily. There is by changing the way you eat and properly following your medication, if the doctor has given it to you, that can help you lower your blood sugars. And the nice thing about the food and nutrition is that if you properly control the amount of carbohydrates you do and fat and all the other things, you may be able to control your blood sugar and bring it down enough to possibly reduce or discontinue medication. So therefore, when your glucose or your blood sugar levels come back down within that normal range, you may not have the type 2 diabetes any longer. But it all depends on your medical history. Sometimes people are just more prone to it because of past medical history or family history.
Okay, so I guess it could be hereditary, or you could just develop it because of the lifestyle that you live.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as part of the internship through Purdue Extension, you are working with the Dining with Diabetes program. What is the Dining with Diabetes program?
Dining with Diabetes is a really neat program that Purdue Extension offers. Right now we're currently doing a program, and the Dining with Diabetes is a 4-session program, so we meet once a week, and then after that we do a 2-month follow-up. That's kind of just to bring everybody back and see what they've been working on and the changes that they've made. That is also good because it continues that motivational aspect of it, to keep people encouraged and see that it is possible to change with a little bit of lifestyle changing and your food. You can better manage your diabetes. We learn lots of neat things in there. Every week we have a topic that we learn about. So far we have talked about carbohydrates, where they come from, what they are, a little bit about what it means to be a diabetic, what diabetes is, the lab values to make sure you're aware of, and if you don't understand, to ask your physician, because that's very important to be proactive. So we talk about those. And then the other neat thing that a lot of participants enjoy is the cooking session that we do. We have recipes that we give out, and we actually demonstrate them in the class. They're very quick, very simple, and very easy. And then they actually get to taste them. So they really enjoy those.
Is it a big struggle change how you eat to control diabetes, or is it really pretty simple? It's just that you have to do it.
A lot of it is the mindset. You have to change your way of thinking. A lot of times around here, people typically, when we're talking about the plate, instead of filling up half the plate with the vegetables, we do meat and potato, which, like we talk about in class, the potatoes will be a great source of carbohydrate, but we eat too much of it typically. So if we do small changes, rather than thinking we have to make a lot of changes at once, doing those small changes works better.
So I guess in a way, dining with diabetes is not, it's important what you're eating, but it's more about changing the habit of what you're eating. Because we just get in that habit of taking 2 pieces of meat when we can do with 1. Is there like a magic food that I can eat to get rid of diabetes? Nope.
There's not a magic food, but the nice thing about diabetes, and a lot of people don't quite understand, is that just because if you're diabetic doesn't mean you have to totally eliminate any certain food, or maybe your favorite food. If your favorite food is dessert, or some people's favorite food is mashed potatoes, it's not that you can never eat those because you have diabetes. It's just that you have to reduce the portion size and substitute some of those other healthy things like your non-starchy vegetables in with them, and
So-
eating a variety.
If you have diabetes, it's maybe thinking, oh man, life is never going to be any fun anymore, but that's not the case.
That's not the
Because it's
case.
really just a matter of altering a few things, and life is jolly good.
Right. And the class is really good about teaching about those little modifications that you can make. And then it's also good to take away from the program to continue seeking out other resources as well, like making sure you follow up with the dietitian. They can make those specific meal plans for each individual, which is very important.
Okay, now I guess with dining with diabetes is while it's a class geared toward people who may have diabetes, it's also good for folks who don't have diabetes, or prepare food for people who do have diabetes,
Right.
or if you think you might be pre-diabetic.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Or
So
maybe
the
you just
class-
want to start eating right. That might be a good class for you.
The diabetes program is targeted towards people with adults with type 2 diabetes, but then it's also good for the caregivers or any of the family members, because it's good for more people to be knowledgeable, because in the end you'll realize that no matter what your health condition is, if you're shopping for a heart healthy diet, lower in sodium, or you're fat, if you follow that My Plate and watch your portion sizes, and even in regards to diabetes, your carbohydrate content, following that My Plate, reducing your portion sizes, and eating a variety of food can help lower all of those risks, or may help, yeah.
Okay. Now you were interning with the Dubois County Extension Office for Purdue Extension here in Dubois County. And this is a class that's offered through the Extension Service. Do you know if other counties offer the classes? They probably do?
Yes.
Okay. So you just really need to contact your local Extension Office and say, when's the next class start? I'd like to sign up.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you'd like to add about dining with diabetes, or in the challenge of eating with diabetes?
The Dining with Diabetes is a very good program. Definitely recommend it. Learn lots of good things, get lots of feedback, and it's very beneficial.
And really, it's a good positive way to combat diabetes if you have it or think you might have it. Because it may be running in your family, so you might want to think about taking this class before you get a problem.
That is
All right.
true.
Thank you very much, Holly.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Holly Beier has been our guest. She is an intern with Purdue Extension through Purdue University, working with Jan Dugan and learning about how to be a dietitian as she is working her way to becoming a licensed dietitian. Holly, thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching WJTS in Form. We are local people watching local people.